Samsung just announced the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge, but before you pick one up, here are 5 things you need to know. So what's up guys, Jonathan here with TLD. Hope you guys are doing well. And this past week, I got a chance to go hands-on with both the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge early and wanted to give you guys a rundown of everything you need to know before spending your cash on one of these. First and foremost, this is a completely new design. Anything that we've come to know about the Galaxy S design, materials, or lack thereof can be thrown out the window. This is a completely different animal constructed out of aluminum and glass, and it feels really good. Now before I get any further, let's all address the elephant in the room because it is a big one. Immediate reaction when seeing the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge for the first time is that it looks very familiar. It's like somehow the Galaxy S5 got knocked up by both the iPhone 4 and the iPhone 6, and out came the Galaxy S6 and its slightly different looking twin bro, the Galaxy S6 Edge. Surprisingly though, I didn't mind that at all. It's a little hard to portray through video, but in person, I really dug the looks of the phone and how it felt in my hand. And in terms of straight up feel, I would take that all day long over the iPhone 6. One-hand ability is on point, and Samsung bumped up the resolution on both the S6 and S6 Edge without increasing the screen size. They both feature a 5.1-inch Quad HD Super AMOLED display, and in non-fancy tech lingo, that's a resolution of 2560 by 1440, which is the next step above 1080p. So as a result, you're getting a crispier image in the same amount of real estate as the Galaxy S5, for example, and a total pixel density of 577 pixels per inch. Now the next thing you need to know is straight out the differences between the two. The S6 and the S6 Edge are actually marketed equally by Samsung. It's not like before where the Edge was some experiment SKU where they were just kind of testing the waters. These are both equal full-fledged flagships, so I kind of wanted to help you guys separate between the two and ultimately help you figure out which might be better for you. Aside from the actual edges on the S6 Edge and a slightly larger battery, everything is literally identical. As I mentioned, they both share the same screen, but they both also share the same 8-core processor, 16 megapixel camera, 3 gigs of RAM, and both are running Android 5.0 Lollipop. The S6 Edge has a slightly larger battery coming in at 2600 milliamp hours, whereas the standard S6 is 2550, very minimal, and I wouldn't expect that to translate into better battery life. Rather, I would think that slight bump is to compensate for the actual edges on the Galaxy S6 Edge. So really, it comes down to whether or not you think you'll take advantage of those edges. Unlike the Galaxy Note Edge, where you were limited to one side, this has two, so you can actually choose which side you want the text to appear on. It has a bedside mode where it's going to faintly display the time, so A, that's going to reduce power draw, and B, it's not going to be overbearing and blind the crap out of your eyes when you're just waking up from pitch black. You can then tap to activate the Edge for full brightness and then to scroll through notifications. It's very similar to the Moto X active display, where you're able to see important information without wasting unnecessary power over extra pixels. What's really sweet though is that the Edge notifications can be color coordinated to your contacts. So if your phone is facing down, let's say your wife, husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, brother, or even mom or dad calls, it's gonna pulse to whichever color you have them assigned to, and that can also be applied to text or even email. So if those sound appealing or useful to you, then the Edge might be the better choice. And for me, I actually just plain out preferred how the Edge felt in my hand versus the standard Galaxy S6. Now the next thing you need to know is because of the new premium design, that comes at a cost and you will be sacrificing and losing some things. Yes, past Galaxy S phones haven't had the most amazing build quality, but two things diehard Galaxy users loved were the modularity of being able to swap out batteries and also the freedom to expand storage via micro SD card. And these are both gone on both the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge. Now that alone I know is going to cause an uproar, and there's some people that are going to lose their shit over this, but really it's like Samsung is going to get hated on whatever they do. Before it was knocking Samsung for their plastic phones. Well, actually it was TouchWiz too, but really one of the biggest gripes was their phones were never up to par on some of the other premium smartphones. This time though, they stepped up the build quality game, which I appreciate, but I can see where it's really important for those who really relied on micro SD expansion or that swappable battery. So if those are really important to you, you might have to look elsewhere this time. One bright note though out of this whole expansion catastrophe is the Galaxy S6 and Edge both now start at 32 gigabytes as the base model, as opposed to 16 on the Galaxy S5, for example. So that may help offset the difference for some of you out there. Now, the fourth thing you need to know is actually on a positive note, and that's that the camera will be awesome. Both the S6 and S6 Edge are packing a 16 megapixel camera, and if we're talking solely megapixels, it's the same as the S5, but I must stress, megapixels are not everything. In addition to getting OIS on the rear camera, you're also getting a bump on the front-facing camera. That's going up to 5 megapixels as opposed to 2 on the Galaxy S5. You're also getting a lower aperture on both cameras at f1.9, and that's going to equate to better low-light performance and also more of that blurred-out background look on those close-up shots. You also get insanely fast access to the camera now just by double tapping the home button, and this can be accessed from anywhere on the phone. It doesn't matter which application you're using, and testing it out in person, this works really well. On top of that, both feature real-time auto HDR and tracking autofocus, and this is going to be helpful when you have a moving subject. It's going to lock onto them and keep focus as he or she is moving. In this case, shout out to the awesome Lamar Wilson for being my model. Now, the last thing you need to know, and this may be a huge deal breaker or very important for some of you out there, and that's not to expect great battery life. Even comparing the Galaxy S6 and S6 Edge to the Galaxy S5, they both have a lower capacity battery, and then on top of that, you combine a higher resolution screen, it's probably not going to be amazing. The upside though is the processor is more efficient, and I don't think that's really going to translate again to better battery life. I think Samsung is really just shooting to get it on par with the Galaxy S5, which to me really isn't a win for the consumer. Like I've talked about before, I think one of the biggest bottlenecks in terms of smartphones specifically is battery life. It just really hasn't advanced like everything else in that field has. We're at this stage where every manufacturer wants thin. Let's see how thin we can make the phone, but I wouldn't mind a slightly thicker phone if I could get a Chuck Norris-like battery. Aside from that, both of these are still dealing with TouchWiz, although it's a little less TouchWizzy. I think we can all agree no TouchWiz would be the best route to take. I did, however, really like how they implemented multitasking. So if you're in your recent apps window, you can actually scroll through those, and then any open application with the multitasking icon can be used to start the multitasking. And then from there, once that is started, you can then scroll through your apps and figure out what is that second app that you want in your multitasking window. So that's really useful. If you enjoyed the video and you're feeling like being awesome, make sure to go crazy on that like button. And of course, in return, you get a virtual high five at your face. Aside from that, I didn't get a ton of time with both devices, so this of course isn't a review, but those are coming very soon, so definitely stay tuned for that and feel free to subscribe. That way you don't miss out on those. If you guys have any questions, drop me a line down below or hit me up on Twitter at TLD Today. And actually, my good buddy Austin Evans, he just released his video on the top 5 Galaxy S features. So if you want to check that out from a different perspective, go ahead and click here or check it out in the link below. This is Jonathan with TLD, and I will see you guys later.